Hello everyone. In James chapter 1 verse 22 to 24 it says this: "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at their face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like." And so here James is talking about listening, or we could say in our context, reading God's word. And this is vital. It's crucial that we listen, read, that we absorb God's word. I'd say it's actually fundamental to Christian faith that we hear and read and get into God's word. But James is saying that that's not all there is to it. If we're just to listen to God's word, then we're missing out. That he's saying that we actually need to do God's word. That when we listen, that when we read, that when we are filled with God's word, that should lead to a response. We should do something. Of course, there's parts of the Bible, of God's word, that explicitly tell us to do things. But even those parts of the Bible that are not saying go and do this or do that, they should still cause a response in us. They should still lead to action. It reminds me of Jesus' words when he was talking about, we often call it the parable of building a house on the sand or on the rock. And Jesus says that the one who builds his house upon the rock isn't just the one that hears his words. It's not just about hearing, it's about putting them into action, Jesus says. And so James here is encouraging us to do the same thing, to listen, to read, to get into God's word, but to also have that word stimulate action in our life. And he uses the example of a mirror. He says if you're going to listen to or read or absorb God's word and it doesn't lead to any action, it doesn't cause any change or any output in your life, he says it's like someone going and looking at a mirror and going away with it. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look in the mirror in the morning, there's a lot of work to be done. As a man with a beard, it's usually stuck to half of my face. It's kind of squashed flat and the other side's bushed right out. There's work to be done. And so it'd be senseless to look at the mirror and not have that lead to action. And James is saying it's the same with the Bible. Yes, listen. Yes, read. Yes, absorb God's word. But unless it causes an impact on your life that leads to action, we're falling short. And so my encouragement is this: when we come to God's word, let's treat it like a mirror, not just to find out what is God saying, but to find out what is God saying about me and about what I should do right now, today. God bless and have a great week.